Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. As part of the design team over at the Counterfeit Kit Challenge, we offer inspiration every month to use up the kits that you've built at the beginning of the month. The end of the month is always a scraps challenge, and I'm going to put my scraps to use on a quilted design. So let's dive in. All right, the photo that I have here is from a COVID testing center. So this is going to go into my COVID album. And I have not done this story because I have not figured out how I want to tell this story with this kind of boring picture. As you can see, I've got my counterfeit kit here, and I keep a little file of the scraps from my kit. Now, I do still have plenty of whole sheets of paper in here, so I am not done with this kit, but taking the scraps that I've already acquired, I can go ahead and make a layout with that. I pull out a base page, which is going to be some distressed wood grain because this is going in my COVID album. Distressing is a word that I use a lot when I'm approaching my layouts. All right, I did pull out a square punch. Of course, you could totally cut squares with your paper trimmer, but this is faster for me. And so I'm just going to take some time and go through all my scraps and see how many squares I can get out of this. My goal is not to cover the entire background with this quilting square pattern, but I will cover a section of it. So with just a few out, here's what I have in mind. I'm going to line them up and mix and match my colors and probably make 3 or 4 rows of these squares, depending on how many squares I can punch out and whatnot. And then I will take it to my sewing machine, which as you can see here, I've already done, and I'm going to add zigzag stitching around all of those squares. Now, what I forgot to do when I started this process was cut off that branding strip, and I wanted everything to be centered on the layout, but because I didn't take that branding strip's sizing into account, you can see my left side is larger than my right side. So I'm just going to hide that with some embellishing, and actually I think I end up putting my little journaling spots there. So I'm going to clean up those strings a little bit. I did consider leaving them since that adds to the distressy feeling, but I think it was a little too much for me. So I'm going to work on the rest of the layout, which is all pretty simple at this point. The quilting technique there did take the most time. I am going to end up trimming my photo down just to make it fit a little bit better in the leftover space. I'm going to do double matting of that photo, and I'm going to do some stenciling behind the photo. This is a Simple Stories map stencil, which I've had for a little while, and it's part of my counterfeit kit this month. And I'm going to use that to add some texture behind there. Now, the stencil was shifting and moving on me, so I'm just going to go ahead and put some tape down on there to make my life easier. When I am done with this stenciling, it does end up being a bit too tidy in a rectangle shape, so I will add some extra stenciling here and there off the edges. Now, the stencil is not designed to realign in any way. I'm just doing the best I can to kind of make some major lines match up so that I can get some extra roads, so to speak, off the edges of this. And I like the kind of juxtaposition that the more random stenciling looks as compared to the more structured quilting section, because the story is about how COVID, it was just this mishmash going on of, trying to find testing and treatments and all of these things. So that is what the story is about. Now, when I built my counterfeit kit this month, I included this set of supplies from Tracy Reed. Now, they're digital supplies that I printed out and print and cut them out to create embellishments. And all of these supplies have to do with bad times. And so I thought, these are the supplies I need to tell this COVID story. And part of the reason why I haven't told this one yet is that nothing quite felt right. And so this photo has been sitting in my story binder for a while. And someone did ask about my story binder. It's really just a binder that I store pre-printed photos with notes on, dates and any journaling, whatnot that I want to add, any design ideas, etc. So that's just my story binder, and I keep lots of things stored so that when I'm ready to sit down and create, I can just flip through there until something catches my attention, like this story did. All right, so I have put together my title, and as you can see, I did not have enough letters to spell it out with the alphas that I had in my kit this month, and I knew that was going to be a problem. But that's okay for this story. I mixed and matched my title letters to create a patchwork of my titling, and that works very much for this story as well. So I won't make you watch me glue everything in place, but I will come back and finish up this layout with a few extra tidbits. I did cut that tag that I'm building my title on out of another scrap of paper that I had sprayed some extra spray on, just trying to clean out my sprayer, and I knew that I would be able to do something with that scrap of paper that had spray on it, and here it is. So my title will get finished off with another alpha that I had pulled out for a separate layout that wasn't necessarily part of my kit in the beginning, but because the alphas that I did include in my kit were getting pretty thin, I did pull in another alpha. So really that is it for this layout. I did add a few more bits and pieces to the embellishing down in that quilted section, but I'm keeping it relatively simple and focusing on some of the textures in this layout as opposed to lots of embellishing. All right, I hope you got something useful out of this layout process video, and if you did, I'd love it if you could give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment letting me know what you appreciated so I can bring you more of that in the future. I have one more video for you in the month of February, and that will wrap it up until we move into March with a new kit and new inspiration. Until then, have an artful day.